Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
It's 22 minutes before 11 o'clock. This is the special broadcast of the Clement Manyathela Show, live from outside the City Hall, where the State of the Nation address will be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa this evening. I want to continue with some of your WhatsApp voice notes and calls coming through, maybe reacting also to the conversations we've had with some of the political leaders so far. I spoke to Dean McPherson earlier, who was speaking, as a Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. I spoke to Putima Namela, who spoke on behalf of the ANC. He's an ANC NEC member. I did ask him about some of the promises the president has made in the past, because sometimes we forget about that, right? We think, the president did promise a smart city, but so what? The president did promise a university in Ekurhuleni. 2 years or a couple of years later, so what? The president promised to deal with water infrastructure. Remember, he did acknowledge it at his State of the Nation address. Probably every year he touches on that, because he realizes how much of a crisis that is in many areas. Water and electricity, in fact, he used to talk a lot about them. Thank goodness lately we only talk about mostly water, because there are some green shoots, some positives that have come out of Eskom. You and I haven't spoken about load shedding in a while. And once again, that's not to say there are no people that are struggling and are currently facing power cuts through load reduction or, substations that have got issues. I acknowledge that that's still a problem for many, many other communities. But I'm just saying, what would have added to that challenge is the crisis of energy in this country. And there's been progress made at Eskom, and we must give credit where it's due and be happy that we're not dealing with that. But there are other commitments that the president has made before. How far are we with getting to those priorities? And I've also been asking you what you're expecting to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa tonight. As I indicated to you, there are a few things that I'm looking forward to hearing how the president will address. And at the top of that list is, of course, the water crisis. I don't think the president wants to come there and claim easy victories while people are queuing for water tankers. So what's the solution to the water infrastructure collapse? I'm interested to hear how he addresses the shocking evidence that's come out of the Madlanga Commission, which has exposed the extent of the rot in the SAPS. What we have heard so far has shocked many of us, and it's affecting our confidence in the police. So the president has to address that and how he plans to clean up the SAPS. And of course, on international relations, I wonder how he addresses the relationship between South Africa and America, right? Will he touch also on the 17 men that the MK party's Duduzile Zuma sent to Russia under false pretense? Where are they now? They're now fighting for Russia in Ukraine. That's a disaster that the president himself has had to intervene in. He is now speaking to his counterpart, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has committed to helping South Africa return those 17 men home. But the families are devastated, and I guess the MK party is probably nowhere to be found in as far as speaking to those families are concerned. But also, this is election year, as I've said, so you're probably gonna see a situation where there's a laundry list of achievements, so you can expect a bit of electioneering there. But whatever happens, this can be a normal sauna filled with platitudes and recycled commitments. South Africans want to hear a president who is sympathetic to their lived realities as South Africans. Koketso on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, please tell Karabo there that the Cape Flats are a war zone and not under distress. I want to know, what are parliamentarians doing to change the law to make sure that convicted murderers and rapists never get released? How are they strengthening these laws? That's what we must focus on. That's what Koketso says there. on the WhatsApp line. And then Sandra says, Clement, where deliverables are not done, shouldn't the ministers then take responsibility? Well, is it going to be the ministers? I think they should. But remember, the president has also created some form of a, what do you call it? Because there are people that he's appointed in the presidency who basically are overseeing his very same ministers. So there are people who are in the presidency whose responsibility is to implement certain reforms that ordinarily would fall under different ministries. Is it because he doesn't trust the ministers? Is it because he sees that they often take time? That could be the case. Let me bring in Makashule Gana now, who joins us now in our studio, who's with Rise Mzansi. I nearly mentioned your former party, and you left a long time ago. How are you? Good to see you. Good morning.
I'm good, Clement, and good morning to the 702 listeners as well. Yeah. It's always an honor and a privilege to be in this platform during these kind of occasions.
Yeah, so I want to ask about how, as Rise Mzansi, because when we talk about expectations, you know, I've been hearing from listeners, some of them are just yawning because Sona is like, we already know what's going to happen. He's going to tell us, look what we've been able to do. This is what we're also promising to do, but we're not going to hear much about what he's promised in the past and where that process is and the deliverables. What are you expecting then? Is it a yawning moment for you then as well?
So the things that we expect, it's to take some stock insofar as last year is concerned. Some of the assumptions that were made last year, you might remember when he delivered his State of the Nation last year, he mentioned that South Africa will not be bullied. The tensions with the US were just starting. And there were a lot of assumptions, even with the medium-term development plan that was tabled by the presidency. I mean, it's championed by the minister and the presidency. There were a lot of assumptions that have turned out not to be true, and there needs to be a lot of honesty. But equally, there has to be... let's say there are things that I would say they are starting to take shape. The issues around the electricity. Now we don't have as much load shedding, but obviously there are municipalities that are still experiencing load reduction. That for them, load reduction is the same as load shedding because it's the absence of electricity. There was a lot that the president spoke about as it relates to the hosting of the G20. That I think, by all accounts, you can say that it was a success. But then you are not going to build on those successes because the country that has taken over the presidency of the G20 says that you are not allowed to come in. So even the commitments that were made at the G20 summit of 2025 risk being getting into a black hole wherein there's no continuation on some of those commitments. But more importantly for us, it's the pressing issues now. You know, the president cannot escape talking about the criminal justice system, the revelations that have come out at Matlanga, some that have come out at the ad hoc committee. He has to speak a lot insofar as that's concerned, because even here in Parliament, Clement, the minister that is asked the most questions is the Minister of Police. And that tells you that South Africans are feeling unsafe. As parliamentarians, when we go to our constituencies, one of the big issues that come up is just the state of policing, but also the frustration with the criminal justice system. You did speak last year around the water, the focus on the water crisis.
Yeah. Before we get to the water crisis, what exactly do you want to hear from him about the criminal justice system? Because I mean, I don't think I want to hear him getting shocked or telling us that what's coming out of the Matlanga Commission is quite, stressful to us. I want to know what the solution is, because if we've got police officers in these high positions who are fighting each other and we understand the rot, what is the solution then? And I don't know if he's going to give us that. And what would it look like? What do you think as Rise Mzansi could be the solution to the rot in the SAPS?
So the solution, the SAPS problems are a people's problem. It's a attitude problem. It's a culture problem. So what you then need to do, and the commitment that we seek from the president, it's actually changing the top structure of the police. It can't continue as it is. I mean, like even before General Mkhwanazi had that press conference, us who serve in the police portfolio committee had said that no, this fight has got very little about protecting the people of South Africa. And what has come out now at the Madlanga Commission, but also at the ad hoc committee, just proves the point that no, these people are fighting, and at the core of the fights, it's access to procurement deals. That's what causing the fight. So there needs to be a change, and also around the leadership of the police, because there are a lot of people at the senior ranks of the police that with all these revelations they just can't continue.
He's going to claim that, look what I've done. I've already taken action by instructing the police minister together with the National Police Commissioner to at least establish this special task team that's going to investigate some of these top cops that have been mentioned. But the question that
can't be enough.
It's not,
because if you are let's say you are suspending 13, 15 top cops, someone needs to come in. What has been the big issue, especially in the police, has been the leadership development, and so there has to be that commitment to say we need a new cohort of police, and this is the leadership development pipeline that needs to be in place in the medium term. But as the good people, because there are a lot of good people in the police, that's why our prisons are overflowing. They are over capacities, because there are policemen and women who do the work, and we must not discourage them. Because sometimes you can hear what's happening at Madlanga, hear what's happening at the ad hoc committee, and you say the entire South African police service is rotten. But every day, suspects are being apprehended, cash in transit are being foiled. I mean, like now, I saw that there's a competition. I think it's around the special teams, where our special task force is actually doing very well. Yeah. It's actually doing well. Actually, it's performing better than
32nd,
23rd.
Oh, 23rd. And they perform better than the US.
Better than the US. It performed better than the US SWAT team. So there are pockets of excellence within the South African Police Service, and those people that are leading these units needs to be recognized and also be placed in positions of authority. Yes.
But do you then take the president seriously when he says, look, I've instructed that these people must be investigated, I've taken action, and some of them already have received their letters of suspension, and yet he still has a minister that is on special leave? And with the revelations that have come so far, I don't see how any serious, rational person sits there and thinks, let me hear more allegations. Like, have you not heard enough?
Yeah, and that, I think that's the other thing that there's to, in his reflection in terms of the state of criminal justice, because it's not only the police, so if there's one area that the Madlanga Commission has not gotten into, it's within the NPA side, because usually when there's a collusion, a corrupt relationship, it involves the police, it involves the prosecutors. So the entire criminal justice, and we hope and we have wished Advocate Mtibi well for his 2 years, because you'll only have to do this. His job there must be able to be able to put in the kind of leadership that can take the NPA forward, clean up the institution. Because even if the police were to do the work correctly, if you have the receiving organization is the NPA. If itself is not doing what it's supposed to do, then you are going to have these problems that the suspects are released on bail and they commit crime and then they are released on bail and so forth.
You were talking about water earlier before I interrupted you.
Yes.
You said the president addressed it last year.
He addressed.
Look at what we're dealing with just yesterday. People were protesting.
Yeah, we're dealing with massive. So water, there's the infrastructure aspect. But also you need to look at it. I just read yesterday that the niceness situation because of the drought. So this is not a man-made, so it's drought. But obviously the management thereof, George now has asked the Western Cape to declare George as a disaster, and because the Western Cape did not have the kind of rains that it had the previous years, a lot of municipalities are going dry. And some of it is not as a result like you have in Johannesburg, where it's a collapse of infrastructure, collapse of the system. It's just that there's no water. The dams are running dry, and there has to be a lot better solutions in that. But the infrastructure challenges, especially in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, and parts of China, these are things that with adequate investment in the people that leads these institutions, that it can assist, and that's what we like to see. So you need to separate the two. That George is not the collapse of the infrastructure, but Johannesburg is the collapse of infrastructure, and also the kind of leadership that's not inspiring hope. You and I are from Johannesburg, and we can't say that we are very proud of the mayor. No, can't.
No, you can't. Makashule, thank you for making time for us. I really appreciate it. Makashule Gana is with Rise Mzansi.